I think we all know at this point that Nintendo is not known for being very open about sharing their intellectual property with content creators, YouTubes, streamers, without a fair bit of rules and guidelines. We've seen a lot of stuff in recent years, mainly in the past year now. Like we've seen Nintendo take down emulators like Yuzu. We've seen them even take down YouTube videos that are like Call of Duty Zombies mods, for example, that use like Pokemon for the zombies. And we also saw them a few months ago reach out to Gary's mod and request basically a full wipe of any and all content that has to do with Nintendo. So, like it or not, obviously Nintendo is very strict about how they feel about others using their IP. Now, earlier today, Nintendo actually updated these guidelines in an update post, and it's got some people concerned because, I mean, I can tell you they're definitely not letting up on any of these guidelines. It's kind of just a question of when you kind of dig through the verbiage that they use. Basically, have these guidelines gotten more strict, or have they just stayed the same and they're just reiterating the same points? And I would say it sounds like it's mostly the same, but some of it is a little new to me, and I know of a lot of content creators that are going to be affected by these quote-unquote new guidelines. So these guidelines are the same ones that they have had since 2018 apparently, and they've just updated them from time to time. Now the updated guidelines are for what they refer to as online video and image sharing platforms. There's a lot to it, so, you know, for starters, they said that you can't use any content that was obtained via data mining. So like if you get a copy of the new Zelda game 2 weeks before it comes out, you know, you can't stream that, which obviously that makes sense. I think that was kind of a no-brainer. That's already been in their guidelines. But this is where it kind of ramps up a little bit here. So they say that they don't want any Nintendo-related content or any content using their IP that they deem as unlawful, infringing, or inappropriate. That's kind of the meat of this, and obviously it's kind of vague. So this is where some people are saying maybe they're just reiterating the old points. But obviously if you're using Nintendo games in your content creation, it's a little scary to hear this, that Nintendo basically is issuing out this fresh reminder that, you know, hey, we can take down any content that, in our opinion, you know, is inappropriate, that we really don't like. It's a little scary, but I have to say, I dig into the content guidelines of all the gameplay footage I use in my videos, and, you know, most of these content guidelines for other gaming companies are actually pretty much the same. Yeah, the language is usually like, hey, we can take down your content if we feel that it goes against our values. That's kind of actually what most companies say. Now, also something to point out, people have been saying that this might be a direct response to an incident that happened in one of Nintendo's Splatoon games. Yeah, I've read a few posts and articles referencing this. I'm not exactly sure, like, if there was some context here that I'm missing, or maybe it was just a funny video, I don't know. But essentially it sounds like it was a Splatoon 3 video that had some sort of like sexual material of some sort in it. That's really all I know, so it kind of sounds like Nintendo was maybe responding to that. They didn't really like the sound of that. Obviously, with the stuff that we see with Nintendo not liking others using their IPs in ways that they don't like, obviously that has a lot to do with like brand recognition. They don't want Nintendo to be associated with anything that I guess isn't, you know, PG. Now, the biggest thing to me that stood out the most, that I actually don't see a lot of people really talking about, I think this will affect content creation the most, is that, and I don't know if this was a guideline before, I don't think it was, but maybe I'm wrong. So this new guideline apparently says that they don't want any unedited gameplay footage of any of their Nintendo games to be uploaded or streamed to platforms without the content creator's, quote, creative or editorial input. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna name any channels by name, but I follow a lot of different channels who like upload just raw, unedited gameplay footage, like long plays they're called, of games, and a lot of them being Nintendo games, and these can get like hundreds of thousands of views. And same thing with streams. I know a lot of people will stream games without any commentary, and this could really affect those channels. And Nintendo kind of talked about like bans, or at least I've seen a lot of discussion now on Nintendo banning like channels and creators from platforms. So I mean, despite just like an actual legal takedown or a cease and desist, this could get like entire channels or streamers banned and completely removed from the platforms that they make content on. But that being said, it is just a possibility. I'm obviously not saying that Nintendo is without a shadow of a doubt gonna ban any and all channels and streamers that do this, but it's now stated in their guidelines that they can do this. Again, I don't know if this was a rule they had before today when they updated these guidelines, but I really don't think it was. And even if it was a rule, it's interesting and maybe concerning to some of these creators that they are reiterating this guideline. I mean, it shows, at least to an extent, that they want to exercise their right to take action of some sort against creators who go against their guidelines. So hopefully, without trying to fearmonger for anybody that wants to make Nintendo content. It is something that is important to know for anybody that wants to make Nintendo content, or maybe if your favorite creator does this, that Nintendo, just earlier today, September 2nd, updated these guidelines. Obviously, I don't think this is the end of any Nintendo content on the internet. Nintendo actually said that their creators and their fans are very much appreciated on their part. They really like them. But clearly, Nintendo is taking all of their guidelines and their rules very seriously. I think it's just a matter of kind of going forward now in the weeks ahead. What are things going to look like for Nintendo content creators? Are things going to stay the same, or are things going to be maybe a bit different?